Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Intersect Conference. We're so excited to be a sponsor as Essential Education of this conference and the COABE Journal and the opportunities that we have to work with COABE in so many different facets. My name is Dan Griffith. I'm the president of the Education Division of Essential Education. And so I'm going to spend a few minutes here at the beginning of this session to talk a little bit about our workforce programs and the tools that we've been developing and are continuing to develop to support adult learners as they reach their goals. So I've got a couple things to show you, a short video, a few of our programs, and we're just thankful that you're on with us today and participating in this conference. Certainly the need to move lower level adults into good employment is one of the most critical things facing our country today. And there's a variety of barriers that are in their way, but none of them are insurmountable. And I think as we work together as partners in this effort, we can move a lot of people into great jobs, great stable career pathways. And you know, every individual we impact, it impacts their family, which impacts communities and strengthens our country. So thanks for all the work you're doing in association with that. Just a couple things about Essential Education. Our primary emphasis for many years was just in adult basic education and high school equivalency preparation. And we've worked really hard over the last few years to focus in three key areas. One is to make sure that the programs are all adaptable, so they create a unique individualized learning plan for students. We can identify gaps that they have in their skill sets and then focus them on those gaps, which makes a more efficient pathway for them. The second thing, as you see pictured here, is to be mobile ready. We want to make sure that people can access the content on any device, on cell phones, tablets, computers, anywhere where they can get a good signal. We also have offline versions so that we can bring our content into places where they don't have access to online and internet. And then the third thing that we've really focused on is to make sure that we are ADA compliant. And so we spent a great deal of time over the last year going back to all of our programs. Every picture is now described with an alt tag, and then you can alt tab your way through the entire program. It's made to work with screen readers. There are closed captioning and audio components. So really spent a lot of money trying to make sure that our programs allow every single learner, regardless of their disabilities or other barriers, to be able to access the content. So with that today, I want to start by talking a little bit about our newest program, our Work Essentials program. We have just or are almost about to launch the revision of this program, which will take it from about 20 lessons to almost 80 lessons. And then there are activities and quizzes embedded in that as well. The program is designed to teach those workplace soft skills and to prepare students not only for finding a job, but then for being successful in the job. And then there's a whole section on how do you keep and move ahead in your job. So let me just tab over to, oops, not that one. And not that one, I'll get there. There we go. And I want to show you a little bit from the live program. So this is the student homeroom in our Work Essentials course that's about to be launched at the end of November. As you'll see, there are three sections to this: job seeking, to help people prepare to get jobs; job ready, which includes all those soft skills in the workplace; and then job keeping, those skills for moving forward. We'll look a little more in depth at each of those units in a minute. When a student comes in, they're going to take an initial assessment in each area. And so I already did this for the job seeking area, and it outlined what I needed to work on. Now, I had originally passed the making a good impression unit, and so it was just giving me the unit quiz to complete, but I didn't score very well on that. which is not a good thing for a salesperson, that I didn't make a good impression, but I was purposely missing items. I want you to know that. And so it put me back into the lesson. It said, you didn't pass the quiz, so you need to spend some more time studying. And that's going to take me through each of the lessons in this unit. And so what happens, and what's really cool about this, is that as students work through individual parts of these units, we have linked with Credly, which is a badging system, so that students can earn badges. And so Credly is a common language of verified sales. They issue digital badges for workforces. And so students will be able to earn badges in Credly that employers can then go verify. So they can see exactly what students are successful in and not. And so at the end of this unit on finding a job, I'll take a unit quiz. And when I pass that quiz, I'll earn this badge. I can drill down here a little bit on the finding a job unit. And so once I've successfully completed that unit and passed that quiz, I earn that badge. As I work through the 4 units in the finding a job job seeking section, there will be a final assessment that allows me to earn the mastered badge in job seeking. And all of that will translate into the Credly system so that employers can go in and verify what students know. So you probably want to see what kind of content's in job ready and job keeping. And so let me jump over in that to here. And so this is just outlines the easiest way for me to show it to you of the expansion. So this program originally, as I said, was about 20 lessons. Any of the lessons that are in white here, you'll see those are the original lessons. We made some adjustments to them, but all of the lessons in yellow and quizzes are updates. And so this is what we're launching at the end of November. So finding a job, we talked about applying for a job, you've seen that, making a good impression, and technology for job search. Those 4 units are all part of the job seeking section. Under job ready, we start with goal-oriented thinking. And so an introduction to goals, how to define a goal, achieving it, staying on track. That's a whole new unit. Workplace communication, including verbal and nonverbal, responding to criticism. But we also built lessons on issues in communication, listening to others, observing, writing legibly, distributing memos and emails. And then there's a quiz on that. We talk about professionalism and appearance and positive work ethic. But then we added lessons on demonstrating self-control and social responsibility, initiative, persistence, taking initiative, setting challenging goals, working independently, achievement motivation, and then dependability on fulfilling obligations, attendance, attending to details, and following directions. These are all brand new lessons that were built. And then customer focus, a whole section on customer focus as job ready skills. So you can see it's a very well-rounded program based on soft skills for the workplace. Then if we look at the job keeping section, there's a whole unit on record keeping, detecting errors, completing forms, obtaining information, on planning and organizing to teach individuals skills in coordinating projects, adapting projects to changes, prioritizing, tools and technology that they would need to keep current on, keeping current on tools and technology, troubleshooting and maintenance, which is a huge issue with digital literacy skills for folks. And then solving problems at work, which includes critical thinking, finding root causes, evaluating, gathering information, weighing alternatives, and then working with others, which we hear over and over as a key aspect that employers are looking for: teamwork, building relationships, and how to negotiate to solve problems. So as I said, this course is being launched in November, end of November, and it covers close to 80 lessons with activities and quizzes. and it can be purchased either individually as part or as part of our workforce bundle. Now, we also have a digital literacy course called Computer Essentials. And so Computer Essentials is built around 3 units that were aligned with the original IC3 program, IC3 credential. And the 3 units are computing fundamentals, living online, key applications and information. There's almost 40 lessons in this, as I recall. So it's over 30 lessons. There are activities and assessments. We are doing a update to this program, which will launch hopefully in January, and adding some additional content, updating to newer IC standards, and making sure that students have some of the skills and access to technology that's changed over the last few years since we originally launched the course. It's really interesting, you know, in 2018, the US Department of Education did a study on digital literacy, finding that 16% of adults are not digitally literate, which translates to about 32 million Americans. There's a whole lot of folks, and we did a survey with COABE recently that showed that the #1 challenge that educators have found in the last 18 months as they've transitioned, you know, because of the pandemic, is digital literacy, not only in students, but also some in teachers. And so this course is really effective at helping people upgrade their digital literacy skills. It starts with how to move a mouse. So it starts at really the most basic level and then builds from there. And I really appreciate things like the Living Online section, which allows you to look at skills like, you know, being safe online and protecting your information. Key applications and information talks about different types of applications like word processing or you know, spreadsheets online, things like that, presentation programs. And computing fundamentals gives people a basic foundation in how computers work. We're not teaching programming language and stuff like that, but it is helping them understand what is the internet and how are things connected and what does RAM mean, and when you're purchasing a computer, what should you be looking for? Basic things like that that individuals need to know if they're going to kind of bridge that digital divide. For me, I think it's, you know, I think back to when I was in publishing in the early 2000s, and educational publishing was really starting to move to technology, and you started to see these shifts in the way content was being delivered and the access to content. And I remember so many people talking about how this was just going to change the world because everybody would have access to great content. But there's still a digital divide because some people don't really know how to access content that's effective for them. And it makes such a difference in your life when you know how to, you know, YouTube a solution to your pipes or your hot water heater not working, or you are on forums where you can get information about how to fix your car. You know, things like that that save people thousands of dollars and help them to solve problems on their own. But you have to build the thinking skills and the digital skills in order for somebody to do that. And I think we have an obligation to do that for our students. Let's see, the third course here to talk about is our Money Essentials course. This has 4 units in it. It's a personal financial literacy course. So it's going to cover budgets, loans, financial goals, and credit, and help students get a basic foundation in money and how to manage money effectively. And again, you know, when you think about these types of skills in the workplace, digital skills, money skills, and soft skills for the workplace are what employers really want. Employers can train people to do a lot of things, but if you don't come with that kind of a basic understanding, it presents a lot of barriers to employers down the line. So Money Essentials is about 20 lessons. It'd probably take you 4 to 5 hours to go through the course. Computer Essentials would be more like around 10 hours. and work essentials, depending, some people are not going to do the job seeking portion of work essentials if they already are employed potentially. And so depending on how you pass through those units, it could be anywhere from 15 to 20 hours of instruction, just to give you an idea of how the courses lay out. We also bundle these all together into a workforce bundle that's extremely reasonably priced. Most of these courses are going to run anywhere from about $15 to $30 a seat, and it's a reusable seat. So this would allow you to cycle students through the seats individually. When somebody leaves, you can deactivate them and start another one. Sue, thanks for the question. These would not be considered industry recognized. The IC3, I believe, is an industry recognized credential. The certificates that we offer are certificates within our system, but in Work Essentials, we have connected the badging to Credly. And so Credly would be another resource employers can go to see what a student knows. So we're moving in that direction with the other courses as well, so that we can continue badging students and making it easy for employers to see that. Great. I want to talk a little bit about our Dreamcatcher program. Dreamcatcher is our career planning tool. And let me just hop over and show you a little video on that one. I'll find it quickly. There we go. I'm pretty sure I shared sound, so this should come through. If anybody could just in the chat when this starts, let me know that you can hear the sound. That would be great. It's only a 2-minute and 30-second video.
Deep within all of us, there is a sense of purpose. Great. Something that drives us. It may be the smallest hint of a feeling, but it's there. It's the feeling and thought that there has to be more to life than the daily grind. Sometimes we find ourselves in survival mode, where the only thing we can focus on right now is meeting our basic needs. But our challenges to meet our basic needs don't prevent us from having a purpose. Survival mode wasn't meant to be our life. We may not know the right direction to go, but we still have that feeling of wanting to have a fulfilled life. Regardless of where you are starting from today, congratulations. You have now put yourself in a position to investigate this feeling, this sense of purpose, this drive in you that says there is more to life than a purposeless grind. By embarking on Dreamcatcher, you are telling the world, I will not settle for my current circumstances. Let my background define me. Lack of direction stop me from moving forward. My disability keep me from providing value to others, or my past dictate my future. I am ready to move into the future and discover who I am, what my purpose is, and how I will reach my destination. Dreamcatcher is your way to clarify your path and make your dreams happen. This course will take you through 5 interactive lessons that will get you from where you are now to where you want to be in your life. First, you'll start by acquiring the tools and motivation you'll need to structure your mental mindset. Next, you'll discover your interests and skills and how these will define your career goals, path, and purpose in life. You will then build your career plan of action and begin the steps to make it happen. And finally, Dreamcatcher will give you the tools to overcome the obstacles you might encounter and develop the skills of persuasion to convince others of your worth. Welcome to Dreamcatcher. Let's get started.
So just a little about Dreamcatcher that I really like, and Gigi, I'll answer your question in just a moment. One of the things that's powerful about this program is that it starts with that purpose. It's not a career inventory that just asks somebody to answer a bunch of questions and then, tells them they should be an electrician, and maybe an electrician isn't at all remotely what they want to be. But it actually helps them connect with what that sense of purpose is. As a team, we've been reading a book by Angela Duckworth called Grit, which I would recommend if you have a chance to look at it. And it really talks about how, a person who has that sense of purpose, who's really driven towards something that's important to them in life, will accomplish so much more. There's an old saying that, if your why is strong enough, you can endure any how. And so Dreamcatcher starts there. And I love that about this program. It's $15 a seat. The student can keep it forever. They can come back to it at any time and look at it. The seats don't expire, so you can purchase them and then issue them to individuals. But it walks them through that entire pathway of thinking about who they are, what's important to them, and then building that plan that allows them to be successful. Because many of our students don't have the tool set yet to build the whole plan. They haven't acquired that. It hasn't been modeled for them. They haven't seen it on a regular basis, and they need that structure to help them put the plan in place and start working through those things in an appropriate priority. Now, Gigi asked if the classes that we've been talking about here are meant to be self-paced or teacher-led. So we really see both of those things happening with the programs. They can certainly be done as asynchronous classes. All of them have reports that you can go in and see where students are and how much studying time they're spending and things like that. So it can be done entirely asynchronously, distance learning. But the other thing that's really nice about it is you can go in to these courses, and as a teacher, you can find any of these lessons and launch the lesson and use it as a platform to begin a discussion with students as well. So we see people using it in both hybrid, distance, and face-to-face scenarios, depending on how you want to structure it. The design, though, does allow for students to come in and work through things on their own as well. I neglected to mention, too, that this is available in both English and Spanish, the work essentials. Money and computer essentials are being worked on now. So a student can change their profile language, and it's just a toggle button that lets me switch over to Spanish. And once it updates, there we go. Now I have everything done in Spanish as well. So you get both opportunities for students who are in ESL classes as well. Just so you know, our general stance as a company is that we want to transition students into English as much as possible. And so our goal is to move them towards English. And so it's not meant to be like our HSE program in Spanish, lessons that are actually in English about the English language, like capitalization or pronouns or something like that, remain in English for that reason. Okay, so that was Dreamcatcher. It's $15 a student, as I said. And then finally, the last thing to talk about are our HSE and ABE courses. And so I just want to pull up, I think it's this one, there it is, yeah. So in our programs, in our ABE and HSE programs, so if I were to come in here, let's say to GED Academy, and look at that. In our content, we have embedded a variety of things to help students make that connection between the workplace and the learning that they're going to be embarking on. So in this lesson, or in this unit, for instance, on pre-GED content, whole numbers and operations, we have a workplace connection lesson. And so this lesson, if I click on it,
this unit will build your workplace math skills. Let's take a look at how it's useful on the job. Hello. This unit is about whole numbers and operations. That means adding, subtracting, multiplying, and dividing. Whole numbers are used in just about any job. They're numbers that don't include fractions or decimals, like 22 or 186 or 3.
So I'm going to pause it there for just a minute. So there's a short introduction on the content, and then students can go in and look at any of these different careers. And every one of these workplace connection lessons that are embedded in units use different careers. So students will be exposed to a wide variety of things, but they can come in and see, well, what does a crane operator have to do with whole numbers? And so if I click that.
My friend Jeff is a crane operator. He likes his job because he gets to work outdoors. He operates a tower crane that weighs 110,231 pounds. Do you know how much weight it can lift?
So it's just a short couple of slides on this particular field and how whole numbers would apply to that. They can come back and choose another field if they want, but it's meant to help connect in a real way the content that students will be learning in this unit on whole numbers with workplace skills. So we're excited about these. We launched these just this last year, and almost every unit, there are a few units where the content just didn't match up very cleanly. So, you know, they don't, but most units have a workplace connection that students can work through as well to help contextualize and bring it into a field that adults will recognize. All right, let me see. I think I'm almost done. I just want to show you. Let me put this up in full screen mode so we can see this. So if you have a phone with you and would like to learn more about our programs or schedule a demo of any sort or get a demo seat, we're glad to set up seats for you so you can kick the tires yourself. Pull out your phone. If it's an iPhone, it should automatically, right on the screen, hit that QR code and take you to our demo request. If it's an Android, you may need a QR code reader on it. A lot of the new Androids have it built into the camera, but launch the camera and hold it up to that QR code and you'll know one way or the other. Or you can go to go.essentialed.com/demo-request. And so that's at the bottom here, and we're glad to set that up for you. Let me just close by saying how much we appreciate all that you're doing to help the adult learners out there. We appreciate those of you who are on here. Hi, Alice, thanks for saying hi, that are users of our program. It's an honor to partner with you and to be engaged in this work, and appreciate all the work that you're doing. So thank you so much. And I think that ends my time about 2 minutes early, which is unbelievable for me. And we'll pass it over to Michele.
Great, thank you so much, Dan. Really interesting work that you're doing. So really appreciate you sharing that today.
Thank you.
Well, great. So my name is Michele Chang. I am the Deputy Assistant Secretary for Policy at the Department of Commerce's Economic Development Administration. And I'm here today to talk about some really exciting grant programs that the EDA, that we call it Economic Development Administration, is offering. And so I had joined COAB about a month or so ago for another conference that you all had, and we just thought it would be a great opportunity to let you all know about some of these great funding opportunities that could potentially help not only folks that you're working with, but potentially some partners, some other folks in your community. And so really wanted to make sure that you all are aware of these grant opportunities. So with that, hopefully you all can see my screen. I'm going to share a few slides here and happy to take any questions that you all have as well. For those who aren't familiar with EDA, our mission is to lead the federal economic development agenda by promoting innovation and competitiveness to prepare America's regions for success in the worldwide economy. We do that through three major ways. First is that we increase America's global economic competitiveness. The second is we support community-led economic development. And the third is we help communities develop resilient and agile local economies. For EDA, our primary way that we influence economic development is through investments and grant opportunities. And so recently, earlier this year, we reevaluated our investment priorities. So these are the priorities that we focus on when we think about what type of projects and initiatives that we invest in from a grant perspective. And you can learn more about all of these on our website on the right-hand side, but I'll just call out a few. First and foremost, we are prioritizing equity. We want to make sure that the projects that we fund have a strong focus on equity. And when we think about equity, we think about it in two ways. either projects that are focused on underserved populations or underserved geographies. A few other things that we're really focused on is recovery and resilience. Obviously, we've all seen through this pandemic the real need to make sure that regions across our country have the ability to recover and stay resilient through economic shocks that may happen. The third one I want to highlight, particularly for this group, is workforce development. This has been an increasingly important area for the Department of Commerce. And if anyone has caught our Secretary, Gina Raimondo, talk about workforce development, this is an area that she's really passionate about. She fundamentally believes that workforce development is core to economic development. And so we really are investing quite a bit on workforce development. And I will talk more about our first exclusively focused workforce development program that we are offering. All right, with that, before I dive into the different grant programs that we have, I'm going to just talk a little bit about who eligible entities are for EDA funding. So listed on this slide are all the eligible entities, and certainly you can take a look at that. But in short, EDA has pretty wide flexibility to be able to provide funding to a wide range of entities. The only entities we cannot provide funding to are for-profit entities or individuals. So any state, local government, institution of higher education, any nonprofits are all eligible for EDA funding. Now with that, what I'm going to focus on today is that we have right now a very historic moment at EDA where we received $3 billion through the American Rescue Plan Act to really invest in America's communities. We really believe that this is a historic investment that we want to focus on bottom-up economic development while also focusing on advancing equity, creating good-paying jobs, and helping workers develop the in-demand skills they need to secure high-quality jobs. With these funds, we are also focused on building economic resilience while also accelerating the recovery for industries and communities most hard hit by the pandemic. With this $3 billion, the EDA is focused on investing in jobs for today, communities built for all, and regions for the future. Now, with this $3 billion, we have created 6 distinct grant opportunities, and you'll see them all listed below. One of them that's in italicized, a coal communities commitment. This is what we are making on as part of the $3 billion. It's not a separate program, but $300 million of the $3 billion that we are going to be investing are going to go towards coal communities. Now, today I'm going to focus on 3 programs that we believe are most relevant for this audience, but I do urge you to take a look at our website, eda.gov/ARPA, that stands for American Rescue Plan Act. And on that site, you'll find information on all 6 of our programs. There are FAQs, there are recorded webinars, and there's information on how you can apply for those grant opportunities. I just mentioned this on this slide. I just mentioned the coal communities commitment that we're making. I did also want to mention too that 25% of the $3 billion has been mandated by Congress that will go towards the travel, tourism, and outdoor recreation sectors. So with that, again, here's another look at the 6 programs we are offering and how much dollar amounts are attached to each. Like I mentioned, I will dive through 3 of these that we believe are most relevant for this community. The first one I'm going to talk about is the Good Jobs Challenge. This is our workforce development focused program. We are allocating $500 million to get Americans back into work. And we're going to be doing that by investing in regional workforce systems and sectoral partnerships that will train workers with in-demand skills through employer-driven training models. We're really excited about this program because we're able to fund a number of things that we have heard time and time again that are pain points in the workforce development space. And so just to give you a quick overview, we are looking to fund 3 phases of work through the Good Jobs Challenge. The first is system development. This is funding to help an organization establish or develop a workforce system or sectoral partnership. So oftentimes with a workforce system or sectoral partnership, we see a core entity that serves as the convener for those systems and partnerships. We are going to be funding that entity to be able to pull together the right players in their region to be able to create and build a successful workforce model. The second phase we are funding is program design. This is funding to develop the skills training curriculum and materials, as well as secure technical expertise to train workers. During this phase 2, we are expecting grantees to secure employer commitments to hire. This is one of the key things our secretary was very focused on as we were designing this program. She wants to ensure that if we are training workers for skills, that the skills they are being trained for will translate to real jobs. And so one of the key things we'll be looking for is employer commitments to hire workers who have successfully completed the training programs. The third phase we are funding is program implementation. This is funding for non-construction projects to provide workforce training. So this is the actual funding to deliver training. And one of the things that we're really excited about is that we can also cover any wraparound services to help remove barriers for workers to be able to complete that training. So those wraparound services can include things like transportation, childcare, language support, access to technology, career coaching and navigation. Those are all eligible uses of funds. Now, I do want to note for applicants who are looking to apply for this program, you do not have to apply for funds for all three of these phases. We want to meet regions where they are. So if you are a region that already has a system developed and are just looking for funds for program design and program implementation, you can certainly apply for just those two phases. Now, a bit more about this program. The intended beneficiary is the unemployed or underemployed workers from underserved communities, or it could also be incumbent workers from underserved communities who have an opportunity for upskilling or increased wages. Some other key notes about this program is that we are able to cover any sort of capital expenses related to workforce training. So this could include any sort of equipment purchase or leases or rents to be able to use training facilities. We cannot, however, cover any sort of construction costs. So if you have a workforce training program that would require a new facility to be built, we cannot cover that under this program, but we can cover that under one of our other 6 programs, which is our Economic Adjustment Assistance Program. Last note on this program, we have one deadline for applications, that is January 26, 2022. No benefit to applying earlier or later, so we certainly urge folks to get their applications together and submit by the deadline. The next program I'm going to talk about is the Economic Adjustment Assistance Program. This is $500 million, and it is one of our most flexible programs. We are able to cover a wide range of economic development activities through this program, everything from infrastructure projects to technical assistance, planning, revolving loan funds, as well as public works projects as well. So we do urge folks to take a look at this program, and we urge folks to also put in proposals that are based on long-term, regionally oriented, collaborative economic development or redevelopment strategies that foster economic growth and resilience. Now, I mentioned the coal communities commitment that we are making. $200 million of this $500 million will go towards coal communities. And so certainly encourage you to take a look at this if you are in a coal community or you're not either. There are certainly funds available for both. Just to give folks a sense of the scale of these projects, these tend to be a little more smaller in nature. 5 million or less tends to be what is funded through this program. Now, the next program I'm going to talk about, I'm going to not talk as deeply about because the deadline has actually passed. I'm not sure if anyone on this phone has applied for it, but I'll just give a quick overview. While the Economic Adjustment Assistance Program I just mentioned is a smaller scale program, our Buildback Better Regional Challenge, which is a $1 billion challenge, is a larger program. Through this program, we are looking to ultimately fund 20 to 30 regional clusters that will be focused on really transforming economically distressed areas through some substantial investments. For each project, we are ultimately looking to fund each region between $25 to $100 million each. And so what we're really looking to focus on here is helping to build either an existing or growing industry in a region by funding 3 to 8 projects focused in that regional cluster. As I mentioned, the deadline for the first phase of this project just passed. It was on October 19th. We actually received 529 applications, which we're really excited about, and we are madly trying to go through all of them and evaluate them right now. The phase 1, we will ultimately award 50 to 60 of those regions to receive technical assistance grants to help them prepare for phase 2, which will ultimately have the 20 to 30 winners that will get their implementation grants. The last program I just want to touch on quickly, I talked about 3, but I want to throw in one more in there just in case it is relevant for this group. I feel like sometimes this one program is a little hidden in some of our messaging. So I wanted to call this out. We are actively looking for organizations to help do research and build communities of practice for our grantees. And so for the ones that you just heard about, the Good Jobs Challenge, the Build Back Better Challenge, as well as some of our other programs I didn't talk as deeply about, we have an Indigenous Communities Challenge, as well as a Travel and Tourism program. We are looking for entities who can be able to study the implementation and do research on the impact of this work. On the flip side, we are also looking for entities to build communities of practice for these grantees so that they have a community to be able to learn best practices from and share knowledge from each other. So certainly urge you to take a look at this. We are offering $31 million through this Research and Networks program, and it is located under our statewide planning, research, and networks program. With that, I wanted to leave you all with some resources to learn more about these programs, and also just to get some assistance if you're looking for that as you're putting together applications. You'll see on this slide, there is the link to be able to read the actual notice of funding opportunities. This is the legal document that outlines the requirements for application. We also encourage you to find your local economic development district for planning support and technical assistance. And also every state has an economic development representative, which are EDA staff who are ready on hand to talk to any potential applicants on how they should think about their proposal. And just want to put in one last plug for our website, which is eda.gov/ARPA. That's where you can find information on all 6 programs and be able to find links on how you can apply. So with that, I'm going to take a look at the questions. It looks like we got some questions in the chat. I'm just going to take a look at. Looks like some folks were looking for the website, and thank you, Michelle, for putting that in. Actually, it doesn't look like there's any specific questions about the EDA program, just some chatter in the chat about where we can find more information. So happy to send that around. It looks like Michelle put those in already. So if there are any questions, happy to take them. If not, I can certainly turn this back to Michelle. All right, looks like there's a few questions here. Okay. Can any of the funds be used at the high school level? It's a great question. And I assume this is referring to the Good Jobs Challenge, which is the workforce development program. The funds can be used at the high school level. However, I will note there is an emphasis for this program on job placement. So there's an emphasis on getting workers who particularly were unemployed or underemployed during the pandemic, getting them the skills that they need to get into good quality jobs. Certainly high school students, if they are nearing graduation, can very much meet that goal of being placed into a job. But I will just note that when we looked at the evaluation criteria, which is outlined in the notice of funding opportunity, number of job placements is one of the key criteria for the program. So I think just you'll have to weigh how much a high school program will be able to meet that job placement requirement. Next question, can you talk about how this is relevant to literacy organizations and community colleges? So there certainly is a huge component for community colleges. We see a lot of community colleges play a huge role in training. And so certainly we have talked to a number of folks in the community college space who are interested in applying. Oftentimes in some regions, community colleges serve as that core convening entity. So they certainly could be the eligible entity to apply for funds for the Good Jobs Challenge as they're pulling together employers, other organizations in their region to be able to develop a workforce training program that will ultimately place workers into quality jobs. So there's a huge role for that. In terms of literacy organizations, they certainly could play a role from a wraparound services perspective. Like I mentioned, we can cover wraparound services through this program. And so if there are any workers, they may have some literacy challenges and are looking for support, those are eligible funds. Use of our funds is to help support that type of service. All right, one other question here. There are work-based learning programs at the high school level. Many students are selecting early graduation options. So yes, work-based learning programs We actually are considering employer commitments to hire any sort of work and learn program. So any sort of apprenticeship program would count as an employer commitment to hire, as well as job placement. So certainly if that is something that you all are working on, that would count. Another question, do you have examples of how to properly apply for different grants, or is there someone assigned specifically to this task within EDA? Yes, the economic development representative that I mentioned, that there's one in every state, that is their specific task, is to help applicants think about how to apply for different grant opportunities. And so certainly encourage you to take a look at that. If you go to our website, I'll type it into the chat, eda.gov/contact. You can find the contact information for every economic development representative, and you can find the one for your state and connect with that person. All right. Just seeing if there's any other questions. Happy to wait another minute or so and see if anyone else has any questions I can help answer. All right, would programs that help foreign trained medical professionals become certified in the US be eligible? That's a great question. I'm just thinking here a little bit. So I think it would. So what we are trying to do here is to train workers that are residing in the US right now, presumably are US citizens, and to help them get the skills to be able to fill any sort of skill needs right now. I think the main thing though I would urge you to think about, I'm just thinking about this question a little bit more. The question seems like it's referring to a program that may be more worker driven. So targeting a population of workers that may have a challenge in terms of getting into quality jobs in the States. Whereas our program, I would emphasize, is a little more employer driven. We are really encouraging applicants to start with the employer, to start identifying the employers in their region, work with them to identify where the key vacancies and job openings are, and how they can pull together a training program to meet that need. So certainly, I think if this program was working closely with healthcare providers in the area and are identifying a key vacancy or skill need that is required in that field, and I want to use this population to help serve that need, that would be eligible. One of the things that EDA is requires of all applicants is that if somebody else comes through your program and wants to be able to participate, you all can't turn anyone away. So you can focus on recruiting from a certain population, but you need to be open to all that may be interested. All right, next question. If you are a for-profit organization but have workforce development programs, are you eligible? Or is it simply for nonprofits? So unfortunately, you cannot be the primary grantee for EDA funds. So we can only provide funds and provide grants to entities that are not for-profit companies. But so to that extent, though, I will talk a little bit how for-profit companies would be involved in a workforce initiative. So as we talked about before, employers are one of the key parts of this program that we have designed. We want employers to be actively engaged, if not leading the process, but they would not be the actual grantee of the program. So how that may play out is that you may have, let's just say, a nonprofit entity who is serving as the convener in a region of a workforce system that may include employers, the local community college, potentially the local labor union, as well as other community-based organizations that may help recruit folks into the program or help provide wraparound services. So the entity that would be applying would be the nonprofit that's serving as the convener, but the for-profit entity, could be an employer in this case, is working closely with that entity to figure out what are the skills that are required for that employer, what are they looking for, how do they translate that into an effective training program. All right, any other questions I can help answer? All right, looks like there's another one. Would these funds be applicable for employment programs focused on specific vulnerable populations, For example, a program centered within a correctional facility or probation department focused on resilient jobs for returning citizens? Great question. So in fact, we are encouraging applicants to focus on the reentry population. That's one of the underserved populations that we are strongly encouraging applications for. Like I mentioned before, while you can focus on a certain population and having your recruitment efforts be focused on targeting those underserved population, the one criteria that we have is that you need to be open to anyone else that may come through your door and be seeking services from your program. So you could certainly target a correctional facility, a probation department, but if someone else learns about your program and is interested in participating, you need to be able to allow that person to participate as well. All right, any other questions? All right, if there's not any questions, I will turn this back to Michele. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much, Michele. So much great information both Michele and Dan shared with everybody. I thank you both for your time, and this session will be available for replay soon, and we have another session coming up, so I hope you all join us. Thanks again and have a great day. Bye-bye.